Morning. Glad that you could join us this morning on the Blazing Hot Morning Show. You know, this pandemic is kind of getting to folks all the way around, whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, whatever. But we want to focus on the stress that it's putting on relationships this morning. First of all, is that true or is that false? Is it really putting stress on relationships?
Yes, I believe it is because of the uncertainty and the change in routine. Couples are scrambling.
What can be done about it?
Well, I think that nurturing that relationship, doing things together and learning how to communicate effectively with each other, and I mean validating each other, being able to listen to the other person. A lot of times people prepare to talk and be defensive of one another, especially with couples.
So if I say, honey, I wish you would pick up your socks, before I can finish saying the word socks, the other person is already thinking about the comeback, huh?
Absolutely. Being able to hear exactly what they're saying and say, yeah, you know what, you're right. Let me pick up my socks.
But is there a way that I should say, honey, pick up your socks, please? Maybe I'm presenting it in the wrong manner.
Absolutely. And that's the key, understanding that maybe that the message got, convoluted to the receiver and being able to reframe that, hey, it would be helpful if you pick up your socks for me sometime.
Okay, so if we're in a full-blown, let's call it disagreement, what should happen? Should we try and top the other one with comebacks? Should we try and yell the loudest? Should we try and just go and just hug the other person?
And a lot of times I tell my couples, if you're in a disagreement, you're not hearing each other, maybe take a time out or, like you said, hug each other because you're not getting anywhere when you're arguing. Recognizing that cycle of argument doesn't get you anywhere.
But that is the hardest time to hug somebody when you are in the middle of a disagreement now.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like that's the last thing I'm thinking about.
Absolutely. If they're not able to receive it, respect that and take a personal time out, both of you guys. And that's the conversation that you have before you have the argument. Recognize that there are going to be times that we're going to argue with each other, and so what should we put in place because we need to take a time out. We're not actually hearing each other. It does more harm than good.
And going to a even more serious side of that, what can you say about abuse between couples during this pandemic and what is happening now?
And you're right, that's a lot of things going on. So that person that's in the abusive relationship doesn't know that they need to get out. And if someone comes, to me and they are struggling in an abusive relationship, a lot of times they're not ready, but so I give them tools of make sure you know your local domestic shelter. Make sure you have a plan in place, somebody that you can go to for support. I tell them to have maybe money set aside or a bag pack that stays at a friend's house or a family member house, but just have a plan. But also trying to empower them to recognize that it's a toxic environment, it's a toxic relationship. Get out if you can.
And I mean, all those things that you say, I'm sure those things have gone through the man or the woman's mind before, but is it that it's coming from a professional licensed counselor? Is that what makes the difference? Because, you go through all this stuff with your girlfriends and your guy friends and you play it all out and you repeat it a zillion times, but is it different when it comes from a counselor, and does that make people actually stop and listen?
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does come from somebody that you could come to and express your feelings openly and honestly and be able to, kind of process of what you're going through. And so they feel that support and that empowerment. Sometimes it does. It's helpful to ask for help, and that could be like through a professional counselor or maybe your pastor, somebody that you can trust.
And what happens if you're that friend and, the friend is always coming to you, unloading on you about the bad relationship, or it might even be an abusive relationship, and you keep having the conversation over and over and over? What does a good friend do to this person? Because, after a while, sometimes the good friend gets worn down hearing the same old thing when they don't see any action. What is the responsibility of the good friend?
Absolutely, and that's a good question, Cheryl. And as a friend, you can be supportive, but you can let them know, hey, I have told you this. Maybe you need to think about what it is that you want. Go get help. Encourage that person to go get help, maybe to talk to somebody professionally if it's so overwhelming for them to continue to carry that burden.
So the counseling really is. That's the key right there, right?
That's the key. That's the key. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
It's
so
a warm, safe environment. It's non-judgmental. It's a place where you can start processing yourself and feel empowered.
And we know in our community, we've been taught, you go to church, you're strong, the Lord's going to take care of you, you don't need to talk to anybody else. Okay, so we just want to know, what do you say when somebody obviously needs counseling and they hit you with that? How do you answer? How do you get through to them?
Absolutely. I get that all the time. And so there is that stigma that if I go see a counselor, something is wrong with me. And so trying to change that narrative that there's nothing wrong with you, it's just a place where you can go and just start processing your feelings. It's a place where you can go when you can start examining yourself so you can be more self-aware. And just trying to break that stigma that it's okay to get help. It's okay if you're not okay, but it's not okay if you stay in dysfunction. Go get help.
Go get help.
Yes, go get help. And so we have to break that stigma. It's nothing wrong with going to see a counselor. Doesn't mean something is wrong with you. Something is right with you because you're trying to change things in your life.
Okay.
And so that's why I like
my right.
Absolutely. And so we have to break down those barriers, especially in the African community and African American community.
and so does it take a counselor to break down those barriers?
It's helpful to have a counselor, and you have, like you said, you have to be receptive and open to it. You have to recognize that you do need help. You have to recognize that I'm willing to be vulnerable. I'm willing to start working on myself.
Okay, all right. So tell me the trademarks of a counselor. Some people out there might be searching for one, and they don't know what to look for in a counselor. They don't know what constitutes a quote-unquote good counselor.
Absolutely. And so, I'm on Psychology Today, and there's a number of counselors on Psychology Today with different information about what kind of specialty that they work with. So you want to make sure that the counselor is trained in exactly what you're going through, whether it's depression or domestic violence. Like you have counselors that specialize in domestic violence. You want to make sure that you educate yourself and you're informed what kind of therapist that you're looking for. A lot of the therapists have like a consult that you can meet with them before you select them as a counselor, and you may have to go through 2 or 3. So you want to make sure you have the best fit so you can build that rapport.
Build the rapport. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, do you have any last-minute tips or tips that you want to give us, lasting things that we can mark down, keep in our heads, write down, jot down, keep in mind?
Thank you. Especially with relationships, one of the things is that couples don't nurture the relationship. So one of the things that they want to increase the self-care for the relationship, start doing things that bring them together, like maybe taking a drive together. I know Valentine's is coming up. Maybe you don't want to go out because of some of the restaurants have a restricted number of people they have, and so maybe hiring a chef or a personal cook to come in and cook for you. The thing is just to be able to build that connection of the relationship. A lot of times we take care of ourselves, we don't take care of our relationships.
We take it for granted. Tell the truth.
We take it for granted. Absolutely.
Like that person is always going to be there, right?
Absolutely. And this pandemic has made us aware of that we can adapt and that we can change. And the thing is just to be mindful of maintaining a routine, even though our routine is broken, that we can be creative, that we can try new things.
Okay. Some good information. Again, Lecia Fuller-Martin, we want to thank you for coming on, telling us about relationships and stress during this pandemic especially, and talking briefly about abuse and what can be done and giving us communication tips. Leave us with your information. If people are interested in talking further with you, please give that information out.
Yes, thank you. So I am Lecia Fuller-Martin, the owner of Choices Therapeutic Services. I am located in Hampton, Virginia. My email address, you can reach me through email, is my name, LECIAFULLER1 @gmail.com. My website is www.choices-therapeutic-services.com. I can be reached by phone, 757-401-6210, or you can Google me and search me on Psychology Today. I can be found that way. But please reach out if you need help.
I think that you have the exact perfect name for your business, Choices, because that's what life is all about, choices.
That's my motto. Absolutely. Life is about choices. Don't live in dysfunction. Get yourself some help.
Blazing Hot 91, and here we have the professor of interdisciplinary studies. She has a PhD in African American studies, also served as a director and professor for women's studies, an expert on online learning and the digital divide, and the head of the Black History Month community. Everybody welcome Dr. Khadijah Miller. And right off the top, we got to ask, what type of events do you have set for this Black History Month here on the campus of Norfolk State University?
Robust list of online activities that we're really, really excited. With the pandemic, we recognize that we've had to make some shifts. But in the process, we were able to bring some virtual programming that meets the theme of Black History Month, which is the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. And we're really excited to explore the complexity and beauty of all that is the Black family.
And that's perfect. That's exactly what we need here on campus, especially. And the thing that you mentioned, and we all know, with the pandemic, everybody has had to kind of move things to the side and kind of do things a little bit different, a little bit more virtual. How have you been, or actually in the beginning of the month, how will you be dealing with that as we move forward?
So we have, we're thankful for technology, and we have put together programs, live and recorded programs that we will offer through various platforms, including Zoom. Like, for example, tonight at 7 o'clock, we are offering the world-famous Sarakesi Zuzu acrobats. These are African gymnasts. They're like gymnasts/dancers, entertainers, and they are going to provide a performance on Zoom. And you can find more information on our website. I want to highlight three other things, if I could. One is Sunday is the National HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, and we know that the impact of the HIV/AIDS on our community is unlike any other, and so we continue to pause and to recognize the advances in medicine as well as ways to support members of the Black community who are living with this disease. And they can go to also our Instagram, the Housing and Residence Life Instagram, #NSU Housing. One thing that the pandemic has done is now we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We are trying to have a greater online social media presence.
Absolutely. And don't forget, one of your expertise is the digital divide and online learning. So you were almost already kind of prepared for this in a way, to it, how you could do it online and through the virtual world is what we're calling it.
Yes, it's true. The digital divide, which is, I could talk a whole nother time about that in depth, but it impacts our community, people of color, in a way to have access not just to a cell phone or to a tablet or laptop, but to have access to the software and skills, to have access to internet and Wi-Fi, and so ways that we can support. NSU has worked to support our students, whether they're on campus or away, to provide them with the tools so that the divide does not exist. And so, yes, that's something that we are happy to say that we are working through in the midst of the pandemic. I wanted to highlight, if I could, just two other. One is, since the theme is the Black family, we have partnered with the Hampton Roads Afro-American Genealogy, Historical and Genealogical Society. And so we're offering virtual workshops on researching your history and learning about your genealogy.
Good.
And these will be every other Tuesday, beginning Tuesday the 9th at 6 o'clock. And we're really excited to provide this to our students, staff, and faculty, and also to the community, because it's important to know and learn and understand your history for social reasons, for family reasons, for medical reasons. And so we're really happy to provide this series of genealogy workshops. And in speaking of that, on Wednesday, February 10th, we have Shannon Lanier. Shannon Lanier is a journalist in Texas, but he is also the ninth-generation grandson of Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings. He co-authored the book on Jefferson, An American Family. And he is going to talk with us on Wednesday, February 10th at 6 p.m. about his family history and also about his organization, Daddy Duty 365, which talks about strong, active Black fathers. So we're really excited to have him on Wednesday, February 10th. And you can get the web ID and all of that information on our website, nsu.edu, or folks can email me, komiller@nsu.edu.
Yeah, and I'm looking through I have the list of all the events. Thank you for sending, and this is just wow. It's so much stuff. I really have to say, it looks so much that you would think that we weren't in a pandemic, and all of this is happening in a virtual world. So we really, really impressed on. Yeah, it's overwhelming. I'm going through it right now. Even actually last into March, which I also like.
Yes.
Because we should dominate some extra months too. We should.
Yes, we do. And I have to say that the Black History Month Committee, which is composed of students, staff, and faculty, really was thoughtful and careful in trying to maintain and continue the level of programming that Norfolk State University is known for. And so our plan is to continue to offer programming, not just for Black History Month, but in March during Women's History Month, and even to end the year, our academic year in April as well.
Yeah, I'm going to find a way. We're going to get the information to make sure everybody can get this out. Now, with us talking about Black History Month, a new thing has appeared in the, we'll say in Black history, the Black Lives Matter movement has slowly moved up and moved into a place. So I'm not even going to ask a question. I just want you to speak on it.
Well, I would say that Black Lives Matter is not new in the sense that Black lives have always mattered since the first Africans were in this country over 200 years ago.
Absolutely.
400 years ago. I said 200, but over 400 years ago. When the first Africans came, we knew that the lives of people of African descent were important. The abolitionist movement with fighting against enslavement, that was a Black Lives Matter movement. Reconstruction, that was a Black Lives Matter movement. During the Progressive era, when African American organizations were coming together and fighting to establish themselves socially and economically, that was a Black Lives Matter movement. The Civil Rights Movement of the 50s and 60s, that was a Black Lives Matter. The Black Power movement in the 70s and 80s, that was a Black Lives Matter movement. And so today in 2021, we continue this ongoing tradition, this struggle, this persistent demand for the respect of the lives of Black people. And so I appreciate the organizers, 3 Black women mothers who came together after the tragic murder of Trayvon Martin and Gardner and others, and said enough is enough. And I am so happy to see the activism of our young people standing up and demanding respect. They come from a long tradition of that, and I encourage them to continue to work to push for change, not just through protests, but in many, many ways that we can galvanize to create a sustainable change and really shift the society that we live in.
I'd love. See, this is why you get to talk to a PhD in African American studies. You are the first person that really put it, because we've just picked up the phrase Black Lives Matter. It's new in the bigger scheme of time, but you just cleared up. Yeah, it's since day one, since before day one, since the stories I've heard of just jumping off the boat and swimming back before we're too far, right from that point all the way through. So, hey, I'm loving this interview. This is great. This is great so far. So with that being said, since I do have you here, obviously we can say that, African Americans have moved forward a lot since the beginning, but we still have a lot of way to go. What do you see in the future of Black America?
I say in our future is bright. Our future has always been bright because Black people of African descent are resilient. I would be as bold to say I'm not a blood doctor or a genealogist, but I would be bold to say that it's in our blood to persist and to resist and to find a way to make it work. I am hopeful with this generation of young people. I am hopeful that we are able to continue to break down barriers, to shatter glass ceilings, if you will, in all spheres of our society. And that's really, it has to be multi-layered, multi-dimensional in order for it to work and to change and to sustain. I think about under Roosevelt's administration, he had the Black Busters. He had this panel of Black Americans. Mary McLeod Bethune was one of them. But then after his administration, that was gone, and we had additional struggles. And so it's important that we have the history, the culture, the insight, the best practices, the experiences of people of African descent everywhere, in politics, in the schools, in education, at the business tables with the Fortune 500 companies. We just need them everywhere, as scientists, as lawyers, small business owners, and that's the way I think that it can sustain. And we're making that progress. We are making that progress. Yeah. I always tell people, enslavement was only, it ended less than 200 years ago. We only got the right to vote over 50 years ago. We're talking about somebody, you could look at a person who never had the right to vote. And so we're making progress, but in the scheme of things, we still have a long way to go.
And I agree. And, but I do feel the positive things because not only our actors and rappers and athletes are at the top, but now we're starting to see other people. And I don't think that was us. I think that was planned and just put them in the front. But now we've been able to look through with, the online world that we can get to information immediately and directly. And now it's starting to open up. I'm super optimistic. I'm as much optimistic as you, but we're kind of on the same team, so
yes, we are on the same team. I'm optimistic, but I'm also realistic, right? I balance it out. So I'm very hopeful, but I also know how things can go as well. And when you said how with the online exposure and our virtual connectivity that has increased, that is really what has helped the Black Lives Matter movement, because think, if we didn't have cell phones to capture these horrific murders, these horrific abuse, these assaults, we wouldn't, it would just continue to be swept under the rug. So the Black Lives Matter has really helped to pull the covers over our eyes, if you will, to expose in a way that you cannot deny, right? They say the eyes don't lie.
Right.
Well, we're seeing it. And so now we have to address it. Where many in our community have been yelling and shouting about what was going on, and so now it's being revealed.
Yeah, easily, since obviously Rodney King was but that wasn't the first, but it was the first recorded. It's right there in your face for you to see, and then but years after that, well, what happened before? Well, he skipped school back in 4th grade, like that. I don't even want to get started on that because I'm starting. I'm triggered right now. I know what he did, but back when he was 4, he kicked his mom accidentally one time. I'm like, what is that? But
it has nothing to do. We must, regardless, we must respect humanity. We respect humanity.
And that's a big point. So I don't want to keep you here. Let me say that. I do want to keep you here too long. But we have to keep moving with things. So backtrack. We have an event going on tonight, 7 p.m.
Yes. So tonight we have the Sarah Kessie Zuzu Acrobats at 7 p.m. You can go to the Student Activities and Leadership website. You can go to the NSU website. It is a family-friendly, fun, high-energy activity. I would encourage, folks to go to the website. Tuesday night, we have the first of the 3-part series of the genealogy workshop. Mm-hmm. Then we have on Wednesday night, we have Shannon Lanier, the 9th generation of grandson of Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings, mm-hmm. who wrote the book Jefferson's Children. We also, I'll say this, on Monday the 15th at 12 noon, take a lunch break and log on because we have Patricia Fabry, who's an artist, and she's going to talk about her artwork, which beautiful, colorful illustrations of the Black family, and do a showing and talk. So, I'm just giving you the next week. Yeah. And so please do log on to our website, nsu.edu, for more. And they could always email me, komiller@nsu.edu. And we'll continue to add and update the calendar and schedule as the month progresses.
Yes, and I got the whole schedule here. It's and since it is Black, maybe we'll be able to get you back, and we'll talk again during this month. About some.
Sure.
We'll get to talk about some of these events after the fact, and we'll get to. So I'm sure this, but I really, really, really appreciate you, Dr. Khadijah Miller. Got to make sure that's in there. PhD, Dr. Miller.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I would love to come back. I really enjoyed.
We would love to have you. And one more time, all of your information, so make sure they can get in contact with you and keep up with everything that's going on.
So go to the NSU website, www.nsu.edu/Black History Month. You can email me, KOMiller, KOMILLER, @nsu.edu. And I'll even say if you need to call 757-823-2864.
There you have it, everyone. Dr. Miller here from Norfolk State University. So glad to have you on the station. So glad to have you here with the green and gold in general.
Yeehaw!
Mm-hmm. So how can I segue back into the music? Oh, with a compliment like this song by Neo. Dr. Miller, you are one in a million. Ha ha! Compliments and segues. 25 minutes after the 9 o'clock hour, we are your blazing hot music spot, Blazing Hot 91, and we will get through this together.